生命禅院的文化自信。
The cultural confidence of Lifechanyuan. Jiefeng. November 26, 2022. Translated by Chanyuan, edited by Peter. Thought is a weapon that is more powerful than the atomic bomb. The power of thought is incomparable to all scientific and technological inventions and more valuable than all the gold, silver, jewelry, dollars, euros, and other currencies on this earth. Lifechanyuan is a kind of thought that has never been seen before or previously. It is the synthesis of all the tangible and intangible wealth in history. Whoever possesses the thought of Lifechanyuan will have the best future. Whoever masters the thought of Lifechanyuan will become the mentor of mankind. Human society in the future will be a society illuminated by the thought of Lifechanyuan. The thought of Lifechanyuan is not only a cultural phenomenon, but also a feasible practical example. Human beings have never solved the problem of official corruption, but Lifechanyuan has solved it perfectly. Human beings have never solved the problem of supporting the elderly, but Lifechanyuan has solved it perfectly. Human beings have never solved the problem of disparity between rich and poor, but Lifechanyuan has solved it perfectly. Human beings have never eliminated the crimes of stealing and robbery, but Lifechanyuan has solved them perfectly. Human beings have never solved the contradictions and conflicts in marriage and families, but Lifechanyuan has solved them perfectly. Human beings have never solved the problems of urban-rural disparity, differences between manual labor and intellectual labor, and the difference between workers and peasants, etc., but Lifechanyuan has solved them perfectly. Human beings have never solved the problem of disputes and wars between countries, and Lifechanyuan has solved them perfectly. Human beings have never solved the problem of unemployment, but Lifechanyuan has solved it perfectly. Human beings have never solved the sex-life problems of men and women, but Lifechanyuan has solved them perfectly. Human beings have never solved the problem of property distribution, but Lifechanyuan has solved it perfectly. Human beings have never solved the problems of gambling, drug abuse and prostitution, but Lifechanyuan has solved them perfectly. Human beings have never solved the problem of raising and educating orphans, but Lifechanyuan has solved it perfectly. Human beings have never solved the issue of territorial disputes, but Lifechanyuan has solved it perfectly. Human beings have never solved the conflicts between religions, but Lifechanyuan has solved them perfectly. Human beings have never fulfilled the explanation of the relationships between life, time and space, consciousness, structure and energy, but Lifechanyuan has fulfilled them perfectly. Human beings have never realized the ideal of no one will pocket anything found on the ground and doors are not bolted at night, and everyone lives and works in peace and contentment, but Lifechanyuan has realized it perfectly. Human beings' unrestrained waste of natural resources has brought about a huge crisis of resource scarcity and unsustainable human development. There is no foreseeable solution to this problem, but Lifechanyuan already has a practical solution. There are also problems that are difficult for human beings to solve in the fields of medical treatment, schooling, disease, and healthcare. Lifechanyuan already has a plan to deal with them, so I will not mention them here in detail. Just these obvious examples mentioned above should be enough to see the depth, profoundness, and the vast capabilities of Lifechanyuan thought. Can Lifechanyuan not be culturally confident? Can any country, any religion, any political party, any organization and group, any saints and great men, experts and professors, etc. perfectly solve the above problems? The answer is, it is impossible. Who can? The answer is, Lifechanyuan can. If you do not believe it, you can try it yourself. If you can perfectly solve the above problems in both theory and practice, you are the Oriental saint that is named in prophecy.
禅院草的文化自信。
The cultural confidence of Chanyuan celestials. Deiform Buddha. November 11, 2022. Translated by Chanyuan, edited by Peter. I am a Chanyuan celestial. I stand on the peak of human civilization. What I know and what I do is unprecedented and unrepeatable. I have reached the state of unselfishness and selflessness. Among the saints from generation to generation, I am the best. When it comes to human civilization, Lifechanyuan's theory and practice are magnificent, profound, perfect and complete, which are unmatchable. Beyond Chanyuan celestials, no one can lead human beings from barbarism and ignorance to a high degree of civilization. Any theories about human civilization, including religious books, are pale and full of loopholes in the face of Lifechanyuan's theory, and any organization and practice about advancing human civilization, including all kinds of communities around the world, are just like children in front of Lifechanyuan's second home. All the cultivators in history and those who cultivate immortals and Buddhas in the current time and space, in the eyes of Chanyuan celestials, are aimless practitioners and blind followers who play with concepts, and few of them can really become celestial being or Buddha. Only Chanyuan celestials, in less than 10 years, can be reborn, transcend worldly affairs and attain the spiritual state of an immortal by living in the second home program. The only group that can free mankind from war, starvation, crime and disaster are the Chanyuan celestials. Only the Chanyuan celestial group can bring good weather and clear rivers in nature, make the people all over the world live and work in peace and contentment, and make society to be such that no one will pocket anything found on the ground and doors are not bolted at night. The United Nations cannot do it, the United States and other Western countries cannot do it, not to mention China and other Eastern countries. No religious group can do it, let alone any non-profit organizations or groups. The theory and practice of Chanyuan celestials are open to the world, and everything is open to the public. Anyone who thinks that their theory and practice are superior to the Chanyuan ones can come to contest this with us. True gold fears no fire, and the string state is not afraid of collision. The future production and life mode of human beings will be the second home model created by Chanyuan celestials. This is a natural way that is not to be changed by the subjective will of people. No one can stop this development trend, and no country can stop this leap and change of civilization. In the future, the only people living on the earth will be Chanyuan celestials, and in the future, the only people who can go to heaven are Chanyuan celestials.
家园生活之美的文化因素
The cultural aspects of the beauty of Lifechanyuan's community life. Jiefeng. October 9, 2023. Ait by Chanyuan. Culture is the nourishment of the soul. The kind of culture one is exposed to shapes one's soul. Ugly culture begets ugly souls, barbaric culture begets barbaric souls, and elegant and civilized culture begets cultured and refined souls. Conversely, ugly souls create ugly culture, noble souls create noble culture, barbaric souls create barbaric culture, and civilized souls create civilized culture. In the Bible, in the book of Luke, chapter 6, verses 43 and 44, Christ Jesus spoke about the relationship between culture and the soul, saying, "A good tree cannot produce bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot produce good fruit. You can identify them by their fruit, that is, by the way they act." This implies that good culture nurtures good souls, and bad culture influences the development of bad souls. By observing the behavior, speech, and living conditions of a particular ethnic group or population, we can determine whether their culture is barbaric or civilized. The beauty of life in the second home community has been experienced firsthand by hundreds of Chanyuan celestials. Why do Chanyuan celestials love and long for life in the community? Even after enduring more than a decade of trials and tribulations, they remain unwavering in their original intentions and unshaken in their faith. The answer lies in the culture of our community, which is noble, refined, profound, and civilized. Anyone can give it a try. Can you make 100 people from different backgrounds, who are strangers to each other, live together harmoniously, warmly, peacefully, happily, joyfully, freely, and blessedly? This life is free of quarrels, conflicts, complaints, or condemnation. There is no theft, corruption, poverty, or laziness. Each person voluntarily engages in creative labor, without any administrative commands or compulsory measures. Can you achieve this? In our community, we have Christians, Buddhists, Taoists, Muslims, and even Communist Party members. We have urban professionals and rural folks, entrepreneurs, and the impoverished PhD students and those who never completed elementary school. We have people in their 80s and 5 or 6-year-old children. All these people, with different backgrounds, cultures, beliefs, and values, have lived together harmoniously for over a decade. They respect and love each other, laugh and smile every day, living freely and happily. Can't this be taken as irrefutable proof that the culture of the second home community is highly civilized? Our community can be called the kingdom of the greatest creator, a replication of heavenly life, a utopia different from any utopian community in human history, including the New Harmony Village founded by Robert Owen in the United States, surpassing it by 100-fold. The reason is that our community possesses a rich cultural heritage. Our community can be called the kingdom of the greatest creator, a replication of heavenly life, a parody on earth, and it can be described as genuine communism, entirely different from what has been discussed and practiced in modern history. Of course, it can also be referred to as a utopia, but this utopia is entirely distinct from any utopian community in human history. It surpasses Owen's New Harmony community in the United States by 100-fold, and the reason for this is our community's rich cultural heritage. Our community culture not only has universal values, but also universal cosmic values. It means that our culture is suitable for any nationality, religion, political system, and culture on Earth. It is applicable in the vast universe from hell to heaven, from the celestial world to the Buddhist paradise, from the XYZ world to the XYZ world. Our community culture encompasses the teachings of Christ Jesus, Buddha Shakyamuni, Celestial Laozi, and the Prophet Muhammad. It includes rich content in philosophy, science, art, and the humanities. Our community culture provides a clearer and more thorough understanding of time and space. We provide unique explanations and analyses of concepts like horizontal spacetime. Our culture is down to earth, close to human nature, closer to facts, and closer to everyday life. We can rightfully call our culture heavenly culture. Our community culture is an open system, a transparent system. Anyone on earth, especially religious masters, political leaders, cultural elites, scientific experts, and philosophical giants, can come and try to refute it. If someone can overturn Chanyuan culture, they are like gods. Our community culture has nourished Chanyuan celestials, and it can also nourish anyone else. Only those who thoroughly understand Chanyuan culture can be considered true civilized people. Without an understanding of Chanyuan culture, regardless of who you are essentially a primitive person. The beauty of life in the second home community involves cultural, material, emotional, mental, and spiritual factors. In this article, we only discuss the cultural aspect.
家园生活之美的精神因素
The spiritual aspects of the beauty of Lifechanyuan's community life. Jiefeng. October 10, 2023. Edited by Chanyuan. In the universe, there are 3 types of energy: material energy, spiritual energy, and soul energy. Living solely on material energy are animals and plants. Some more advanced animals like monkeys and dogs require a bit of spiritual energy. Humans, on the other hand, need both material and spiritual energy. The abundance or lack of spiritual energy is closely related to a person's quality of life and standard of life. Lives sustained by soul energy have already transcended animals, plants, and even humans, making them like godlike beings. Spiritual energy is composed of factors such as achievements, friendships, status, experiences, knowledge, reputation, wealth, and talent. An accomplishment achieved in one's life becomes a person's spiritual energy. Aq often said, "My ancestors were well off, despite his own poverty and destitution." But every time he thought about his well-off ancestors, he would find great comfort in his spirit and psychology. When arguing with others, he would even glare and say, "Our ancestors were much more well off than you. What are you?" Well-off ancestors can become a person's spiritual energy, let alone when one has achieved something themselves. Friendship is a form of spiritual energy that encompasses family bonds and social relationships. People often like to say things like, "The president of the Greater East Asia Prosperity Circle is my uncle. My brother had dinner with the president of the United States. My friend is the Minister of Energy in the Mariana Trench," and so on. Just by their connections becoming successful, they can derive it as their spiritual energy. Even without such connections, as long as one has a few close friends, a couple of acquaintances, and a few kindred spirits, these can all become a type of spiritual energy. Why do people go to great lengths to hold positions of authority and leadership? Because these positions are symbolic of status. Holding office is not merely for wealth. More importantly, it offers a form of spiritual energy. Observe someone who holds a modest position like a minor government official. Their demeanor is noticeably different, as is their mental state. They often display a sense of superiority, especially when they are among subordinates, because an official position symbolizes one's status, which, in turn, contributes to their spiritual energy. I've consumed more salt than you've eaten rice, and I've crossed more bridges than you've walked roads. Why do people boast about the salt they've eaten and the bridges they've crossed? Because life experience is a form of spiritual energy. Some individuals remain calm, serene, and unperturbed in their composure, unmoved even if Mount Tai were to crumble before them. It's because they possess rich knowledge. Knowledge is an internal form of spiritual energy. A PhD may feel superior to a master's graduate, and a university graduate may feel a sense of superiority over a high school graduate, all thanks to the role of knowledge. One's reputation is also a type of spiritual energy. The praises of those around you can bring satisfaction, mental upliftment, and a boost in spiritual energy. The more people praising you, the greater your spiritual energy. This is why individuals highly regard the comments others make about them. Wealth can transform into a form of spiritual energy. For instance, capitalists who have earned billions have more than enough to live on for several lifetimes. Why then would they continue striving so hard to make money? Some officials have already embezzled billions, so why not stop while they are ahead? This is because their concern is no longer just the money, but the enormous spiritual energy amassed through accumulated wealth. The psychological state of someone with a little money in their pockets or bank account differs entirely from that of someone with nothing at all. Talent and aptitude can also become a form of spiritual energy. White-collar workers look down on blue-collar workers, and skilled laborers feel superior to common laborers because of their talents and skills. So the Chanyuan celestials who live in the second home community possess abundant spiritual energy. Where does their spiritual energy come from? Firstly, the pattern and realm of the Chanyuan celestials are incomparable to ordinary people. From the perspective of ordinary people, Chanyuan celestials may seem foolish, but from the perspective of heaven, they are like ripe seeds of paradise. What ordinary people fail to see is that Chanyuan celestials possess spiritual energy derived from accomplishments, friendships, social status, life experiences, knowledge, reputation, wealth, and talents. In terms of accomplishments, Chanyuan celestials have created an eternal legend for humankind, the second home. Regarding friendship, every Chanyuan celestial has thousands of kindred spirits. In terms of status, Chanyuan celestials are immortals. The status of an immortal surpasses the secular presidency, just as the status of humans surpasses the rank of lead cattle within a herd. Concerning life experiences, they have traveled tens of thousands of kilometers, endured numerous hardships, and built a paradise on earth in the midst of the desert and wilderness. Who else has such life experiences? In terms of knowledge, who has the richest knowledge of the greatest creator, of being human, and of being a celestial? Who has read more books without words than them? As for reputation, as time progresses and human civilization advances, the reputation held by Chanyuan celestials will eventually be known to all. Regarding wealth, to be honest, Chanyuan celestials do not possess significant wealth. However, Those who have lived in the community for an extended period are generally unwilling to leave the community even if offered 1 million. Can this demonstrate that they each possess more wealth than 1 million? Regarding talent, can the most beautiful and picturesque paradise on earth in human history be created without talent and abilities? Therefore, one of the factors contributing to the beauty of community life is that Chanyuan celestials possess abundant spiritual energy.
家园生活之美的心灵因素。
The soul aspects of the beauty of Lifechanyuan's community life. Jiefeng. October 11, 2023. Edited by Chanyuan. Without a relatively perfect state of mind, it is extremely challenging to establish a perfect life system. Whether it's a family, a business, a community, a political party, a nation, or a country, the mental state of each member determines the group's quality of life. The core factor of the beauty of life in the community is that the Chanyuan celestials possess a relatively perfect state of mind. We have always given top priority to the development of the soul garden. If the construction of the soul garden lags behind, all our efforts will eventually end up in chaos. The root of all crises lies in the crisis of the soul. A community of selfish individuals cannot create a perfect living system. Where there is selfishness, jealousy, complaints, hatred, conflicts, and strong egos, there will inevitably be a constant stream of contradictions, disputes, and disharmony. When you see two people arguing, fighting, or having conflicts, it is because there are too many weeds and toxic plants in their soul gardens. When you witness conflicts between two races, it is because there are problems in the minds of the members of those races. When you see two countries at war, it is because the people of those two countries have issues in their minds. When you see frequent natural disasters like floods, droughts, hurricanes, and wildfires, it is because there is a problem with the minds of all of humanity. In all construction activities, the construction of people's soul gardens comes first. If the construction of the soul garden is not done properly, even if you have mountains of gold and silver, even if you have a million-strong army, even if you have high technology, even if you have supernatural powers and spells, the result will be corruption and collapse. Each individual will not be able to lead a peaceful and harmonious life. To build a good soul garden, you must first absorb powerful spiritual energy. Without the infusion of strong spiritual energy, the construction of the soul garden is just empty talk. The most powerful source of spiritual energy comes from awe and belief in the greatest creator, and from a deep understanding of the fairness of the Tao. Without sincere awe and belief in the greatest creator and without a profound understanding of the fairness of the Tao, people cannot possess perfect morality, nor can they pursue truth and light. They will be led by their desires and lose their pursuit of virtues. They will yield to the temptations of money and power, and the pursuit of fame and fortune will become the daily norm. Deception, lies, cheating, theft, and violence will become societal epidemics. With awe and belief in the greatest creator and an understanding of the fairness of the Tao, a person establishes an internal judgment platform for their thoughts, words, and actions. They will not act recklessly, be audacious, be enticed by wickedness, harm life, society, or nature. Another source of spiritual energy is from the teachings of gods, Buddhas, immortals, and sages. It is quite strange that such insignificant creatures as humans can develop such ambitious and arrogant aspirations. This is the result of ignorance. Only by listening to the teachings of gods, Buddhas, immortals, and sages, such as the teachings of Jesus Christ, Buddha Sakyamuni, Celestial Laozi, and the Dayform Buddha, can a person gain clarity of mind, distinguish between right and wrong, find their own coordinates and reference points, and learn how to conduct themselves. The third source of spiritual energy comes from a deep understanding of the law of causality, and the law that the sum of positive and negative energy equals zero. Understanding what causes what and knowing that the effort equals the gain, one's life will be dedicated to truth, goodness, beauty, love, faith, honesty, diligence, and harmony. They will no longer be concerned with gains and losses, no longer be arrogant, and no longer associate with falsehood, evil, ugliness, hatred, deceit, and laziness. They will entrust their life and future to the management of the Tao. Lead a life of no regrets, No resentment and no hatred, maintaining inner peace. Take things as they are, follow natural come-and-go relations, act in accordance with one's intrinsic nature, seize opportunities as they arise, and approach the future with confidence. Awe and sincere belief in the greatest creator, a willingness to submit to the management and arrangements of the Tao, listening to the teachings of gods, Buddhas, immortals, and sages, abiding by the laws of the universe and nature. These are the sources of spiritual energy for Chanyuan celestials. Possessing powerful spiritual energy is the core factor of the beauty of life in the community.